I wish for a girl to always stay by my side. Forever. I see it doesn't work in real life. Yo, what's up guys? Insane Gamefreak here. If you got what that little thing was a second ago, then you pretty much know, or at least from the fucking title, or the thumbnail, this is the Oh My Goddess Season 1 review. Now, I finished watching Season 1 a while ago. I actually burned through the course of Season 1 a lot, but unfortunately, I am a lazy bastard, and school fucking sucks, so got delayed by like, what was it, two or 3 months? It's fine. People, it's not like it was One Piece. Anyways, on to the review. So the review centers around a boy named Keiichi. Keiichi is your typical harem male lead. Low self-esteem, has this one thing he's really into, kind of treated like the bitch of his little, because he lives in the auto part club building and shit, like a dorm and shit, because they're really cheap, and because he's a part of the club, he gets a discount. The problem is, he turns into like the little Troy boy and is doing all these stupid ass things for him, and it's pretty much your typical basic start. He's a really nice guy, he's really fucking kind and shit. And so pretty much how the story, or the first episode kind of starts off, is actually the first episode starts off in a really weird way. You start hearing voices from nowhere talking about the universe and shit in terms of people and fate and destiny and kindness and luck and shit, and you have no what the fuck idea is going on. Pretty much what the first episode boils down to, and how we meet the first girl, the quote-unquote harem that this show has, and you'll understand why I say quote-unquote in a minute. Pretty much, he's doing a whole bunch of chores because they left them at the house. They left Keiichi at the house because Keiichi's bike doesn't work, and they didn't want him coming out to the club and wanted him to do all these little dumbass errands for all the other people in the auto parts club. So he's doing all these errands, and he gets back home, and he has to call this one last person, and he's dialing the phone, he's calling, and essentially it pretty much transfers him to like some type of hotline for goddesses and shit. So pretty much the scenario goes like this. Hello? Hi, welcome to the goddess hotline. The what now? You've been selected for our goddess transfer program. What now? You know what? It'd be easier if I explained it to you in person. What now? And essentially, the goddess comes through his fucking mirror. And it's one of the funniest reaction shots you will ever get. Well, no, for a second. It's one of the funniest reaction shots you ever get in a goddamn anime, period. Because you look on the face of Keiichi's face when a fucking woman dressed in these weird ass clothes just streaming out of his window, out of his mirror, and he's just like, what the fuck? Now, this is where we're introduced to our first girl. Well, honestly, I should just say the only girl, because the other girls don't really count as harem characters because they don't actually feel like harem characters, which is the only weird thing about this show. This show is classified as a harem, but doesn't really feel like a harem. You introduce the Belldandy, the goddess from the goddess hotline. Pretty much, Keiichi's such a nice person, he's really kind, he really isn't an asshole on any level, but he has horrible luck. But he doesn't seem to be bitching and pissed off about it. He puts up with it like a bitch. And she's like, well, we're gonna give you one free wish. Anything you want, you can wish. And when I say anything, I do mean anything. Like he can literally wish for the destruction of the planet. But obviously they don't give this to everybody. They give this to like ridiculously good people, so they really don't expect that. But it's kind of fucked up that you have the power to kill everyone. Just saying, that's kind of ridiculous to me. So anyways, it's like Keiichi, for one, obviously, it's all crazy fantasy harems go. It's like, he doesn't understand what the fuck is going on, and he doesn't take this seriously, which most people wouldn't, but I think the whole coming out of a mirror thing would try to fuck with me. I'm just saying. And so he's like really, really skeptical like usual, and he starts talking about all of his fucking like quirks and bad points as a person, and she doesn't give a fuck. She just keeps saying all these nice things and shit, talking about what does your height have to do with your worth as a person, and all this other nice, ridiculously nice shit. And that's the one thing about Belldandy that needs to be addressed right now. She is legitimately one of the sweetest fucking anime characters I've seen in my life. I can't actually think of a female character who's nicer than Belldandy. Period. I can't think of anybody. It's ridiculous. Oh man, I feel like, okay, I'll put it this way. Musubi from Sekirei, Belldandy's like her mother, because it's ridiculous. Even though Musubi acts more like a shonen male lead in some aspects, but still, Belldandy's just like a ridiculously nice character. And because of all of it, I guess he got really flustered and shit. The wish that comes out of his mouth is, I hope that you would stay with me forever and stay by my side. And it's granted, so Belldandy can't go back to heaven and is restricted in terms of powers because you're a goddess on Earth. You're not gonna be allowed. I mean, she still has her powers, but she just can't go like all full on. Which she has a limiter on herself. And that's how the first episode kind of goes down. Is that they're kind of stuck together by a contract, by a random ass wish that he selfishly made. And honestly, I will say this right now: the beginning of All My Goddess is really fucking good. From episode 1 to I say like the first 5 or 10 episodes are really fucking good because it actually develops their fucking relationship. And it's actually something you can relate to in some sense. And the fact that she is a girl who should be the basis of all girls today, at least in terms, not really in terms of like common, well no, kind of in terms of outlook on people. Like I mean obviously being a goddess, the whole superficial thing doesn't really fuck with her. Just really fucking awesome. I really like the development between those two characters. Now, I say the first 10 episodes, and you're probably thinking, well, what happens after the first 10 episodes? It kind of goes into bullshit territory in terms of like, what's the best way to put it? It goes into like really filler-ish kind of stuff. Like it feels like just random stupid things happening. And I mean, the premise of the show is legitimately them as a couple trying to make it, and they make it realistic about the whole building situation and the housing and shit. Mind you, there is one thing about Belldandy I don't like, and it has nothing to do with her character. It just has something to do with the anime itself. Every time they seem to be in like a bad situation, she tends to like make a random ass prayer, and something happens, and it leads up to fixing their problem. Like for example, there's a portion where they get kicked out of the auto club house because there's a rule in the auto club house that women can't be in the auto club house, and obviously Belldandy stuck cages, so you know they got kicked out. They get kicked out like in the first fucking episode, and so he has a limited amount of money. He's trying to find a place, and she makes a prayer, and the fucking money blows out of his hand. But they end up at a fucking monastery that they end up staying at, and end up fucking just owning. Period. By the end of that episode, actually, I believe. What the fuck? Now, the reason why this bugs me is because, if you didn't know, I'm an agnostic. So the Christian bullshit, I mean, if you're a Christian, that's cool, and that probably would work for you. But for me, that's not realistic. You can't just pray. I mean, yeah, she's a goddess, but what the fuck? You can't just pray, and all of a sudden, oh, I just didn't... it's kind of retarded. That's the one thing about Belldandy I kind of hate. The one thing I hate about the season is that there are a few missed opportunities. And yes, I haven't mentioned the other characters, and yes, I'm about to. The other girls in the quote-unquote harem, I don't really count none of these girls, actually, for obvious reasons. For one, you have a girl that Keiichi originally asked out, like, prior to the anime starting, and who turned him down, and I believe her name is Saiko, or Seiko, I don't remember. It was like, because she's a really fucking annoying character. And she and Belldandy are like rivals, even though Belldandy suffers from the naive female lead moments where she's really nice, she's really sweet, but she's really fucking naive and stupid when it comes to common sense things. So like, she tries to trash talk Belldandy, and Belldandy takes every trash talking literally, and it makes her look like a jackass. And so she hates Belldandy because of that. But then she develops a crush on Keiichi because of Belldandy, which just made me really more fucking annoyed. There's another male character that hangs with her who's like a fucking chauvinistic pig and who's trying to get with Belldandy because he just likes fucking women. and I forget his name because his name was really, because I don't care for that character at all. He's just, they kind of did this white line where they just made both of those characters just ridiculously hateable. Those are like your antagonistic characters. Besides this other character that shows up later named Lauren, which I'm not going to get into because it goes into a plot that I don't want to fuck with. Even though I feel like the plot wasn't really executed well because there was a whole bunch of missed opportunity there. The other two girl characters, well, the three. You have KG's sister, you have Erd. Then you have Belldandy sisters. KG's sister is kind of a side character, so I don't really put her in there that much. But Belldandy sisters end up living at the fucking monastery with KG and Belldandy, mainly because they're both pissed off that, you know, this guy wished their sister to stay on Earth. So both of them have somewhat of a vendetta against them. Somewhat. I say one of them really does, the other one really doesn't. Which are Erd and Skull. Erd is your over-sexified character. Like, take, what's her name, Kariko? Or Reiko from, Mahabarajo? She's like that, but toned down. Like, she's like an over-sexualized character in her appearance, but for the most part, she's really kind of chilled. And actually, for whatever reason, she ends up liking KG through the first few episodes she's introduced. And she actually is one of those characters that you surprisingly, I like. I don't even usually like her type of character, but for whatever reason, this anime it works. There's a plot with her that happens near the end of the season that really pisses me off because it was a perfect time for development, and they kind of fucked it over, which I can't talk about. But just know, if you'll like her, but you won't like what they end up doing with her. Somewhat like him, like the plot hole itself makes sense. But the development that could have went after it, and then it doesn't, really pisses you off. That's how Erd works with me. And Scold is the most annoying. It's probably like the third most annoying character in the goddamn series. Literally, the appearance of the sisters are how they are with me in terms of my favorites. I like Belldandy the most. Erd is middle ground, and Scold can go die in a fire, which is funny because she's the youngest. I don't like her. She's so fucking annoying because this whole, you stay away from my big sister. And the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that as much as it's called a harem, it's blatantly obvious and made obvious in the first, like throughout the first few episodes, that he falls in love with Belldandy, and it's a mutual thing. They both love each other, but they keep trying to play the harem aspect that isn't there because Scold doesn't. Well, okay, that's a lot. At the end of the first season, they kind of make it look like she has a crush on KG, but it's the end of the first season, so it's like, nah. And Erd doesn't really have a crush on KG per se. Actually, doesn't really. Skull kinda, but Erd not really. Erd's just fucking there. And then the other rival bitch, they kind of make it seem like a harem, but it's not really a harem. It doesn't feel like a harem. It feels more like a romance, like a comedy, magical romance. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a harem, but it has some harem-ish aspects. Also, for anyone who wants to know, there's barely no fan service in the series. I'm not joking. It has really no fan service in the series. For a harem, I would have expected fan service out the ass, but then again, I think this is one of the earlier harems. I believe this series came out originally in like the early 2000s. Harems didn't start getting popular until the 2000s. Yeah, it came out like in the early 2000s and shit. I mean, it's not really it's not a harem that I would class. It doesn't really fit modern day harems. It fits like romance comedy bullshit. And it's a really good fucking series. But the thing about it is it picks up, drops a little, and then picks up again. And that's really how it goes, because you actually get like an actual plot near around like the last 10 episodes of it. The first season is only 26 episodes, I believe, and I say around episode like 1 through 10 are cool, and then you have like the bullshit period, which is somewhere between like 11 and 18, 16, somewhere around there, are really fucking annoying. What kind of annoying? They're kind of good filler moments, but most of it's kind of bullshit. And then you get like this plot. The only thing I would say I hate about this series is the annoying ass antagonists. None of the antagonists are likable. And one of the antagonists feels like fucking Team Rocket. If you like Pokemon, but you hate Team Rocket, you're gonna hate one of these antagonists. Because one of these antagonists feels like Team Rocket. And it's so fucking annoying. I hate that shit. I really do. It's annoying as fuck. But all in all, it's still a good series. I like the romantic. They really push the character development with Keiichi, Belldandy. They even get Skull and Erd in there in the episodes. There's development from most of the main characters, which are really the four mains, which is, you know, the couple, Belldandy, Keiichi, and then the sisters. Most of the development you get for those characters, and I'm cool with. Some of the side characters, kinda, they really, ironically, they focus on the female characters in terms of development. Like Keiichi's sister gets a little. There's only one girl in the auto club who, surprisingly, even though they're supposed to be douchebags, become friends-ish, like throughout the series, and it kind of was weird because I wasn't expecting that from other series. Like from other harems, usually douchebag characters stay douchebag characters. These weren't like villains; they were just douchebag characters. The antagonistic characters don't stop being antagonistic characters because they have like this really annoying attitude and shit. But for the most part, it's a pretty enjoyable series. I will say there is one episode that will fuck. I'll put it this way: if you were like me and you fell in love with Belldandy throughout the series, the one thing about Belldandy, and as I mentioned, the only thing about Belldandy is the whole prayer thing. And if you're a Christian, it's probably not gonna piss you off as much. It pissed me off just because it was unrealistic and it really got annoying. Like, life is not that simple. If it was, then Keiichi would have had a better fucking understand. The Keiichi wouldn't have been doing so badly if prayer fixed everything. That's the only thing I don't like, is that she has like that, the naivety isn't annoying, but the whole prayer and everything will turn out okay shit in real life is really fucking annoying to me. But then again, I live in the real world, and this is a fucking anime, so obviously I probably shouldn't make that comparison. But the one episode that will bug you is if you're a huge Belldandy fan. I forget which episode it is, but there's an episode where Erd is trying to get Keiichi to like advance with Belldandy. Like, Erd is still that sexual-ish character. Like, she's trying to get them past the stupid confessing love thing, which takes forever. But I will admit, I was so happy when he finally did it, because even though it was kind of in a funny way. Erd tries to progress it further, and tries to get them to be like more ambitious in terms of, you know, sexual acts and shit. Creates this little potion, fucks up. No, let me rephrase it. Skull goes in there and fucks it up. Belldandy ingests it, and becomes like this whore-ish. And it's a really buggy episode, just because it's literally watching Belldandy losing her inhibitions and her naivety and the niceness. Not even for that. She doesn't lose anything except, you know, I don't know what, they made her like overly sexualized in the episode, but she didn't like lose any clothing. She wasn't dressing skimpily or anything. She just looked over sexualized, like animation wise. It bucked the shit out of me. Right? But you have to watch the episode to get it. And if you like Belldandy when you first watch her, and also the way these characters, for the most part, if you don't like Belldandy as a character, if you don't like her at the beginning, you're probably not gonna like her by the end of it. Because for the most part, she doesn't really change in terms of like niceness. She really only changes in terms of like comprehensions of what she understands about humans and the world and how life works down here on Earth. But I believe I have been rambling on for way too much. I don't even want to check how long this video is. That is my review for All My Goddess. I believe All My Goddess is a good, it's a really good anime if you want to get someone in the harem, which, you know, that rarely happens. But if you wanted someone to get into harem, this is like the best way to start into a harem. It's like the most toned down harem. Mind you, if they like this, doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna like other new school harems, but they might like a couple old school ones. Well, no, there is one new school harem. They might like Sekirei, because it feels like Sekirei on some level. Kinda. Without, like, the ridiculous... Nah. Nah. They might like Sekirei. They might. But I'm just saying, a lot of new school they're not gonna like as much. Because it's probably the best one that's qualified as a harem to ease you into it. Unfortunately, when you get to Icky Toast and the Queen Blade, I'm not necessarily going to be sure if you're going to be still happy with the harem genre. You're pretty much you watch Icky Toast and Queen's Blade or fuck even Sekirei, and you'll find out what's wrong with the harem genre in itself and what the reason why All My Goddess is kind of respected as a harem-ish anime. But anyways, that has been this review. So thank you guys for joining me for this review. Lots of gameplay to win. Link to All My God. I don't know if All My Goddess has a stream. If it does, I'll link it. I bought the DVD, so I never actually, yeah. So if it has a legal stream, I'll post that down there. I'll post a link to the first season, which I think is actually fairly cheap. I think it was like $20 or some shit. Tell me what you guys thought about All My Goddess Season 1 if you watched it, or if you finished watching it from this review and you want to come back to post your opinions. Just overall thoughts on the series and on the review itself and what you guys think. And tell me if you may or may not want to get into it. But anyways, I have been rambling too much. So, last game, play to win, and I will catch you guys later. Prayers always come true. Well, Dandy, you're so sweet, but you're so goddamn naive. Tell me what you guys thought about the review. Tell me about if you've seen All My Goddess first season. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Whatever. Just it's funny when I record a video and my sister understands the drill now enough to be like, Mom, shut up, I'm recording a video. Oh God.